Mr. Fussy. Mr. Fussy was fussy about everything. Absolutely everything had been neat and tidy and in its proper place. Mr. Fussy spent all day and every day rearranging his furniture and making sure that the flowers grew in a straight line in his garden, and trying to find specks of dust on the flowers where there couldn't possibly be any specks of dust, because he spent all his time making sure that there weren't any specks of dust. One fine morning, Mr. Fussy was having breakfast. He was very fussy about what he had. He was looking very fussy was because he saw something in his marmalade pot which had just opened. "Ugh!" he exclaimed, when he just felt fussy of what he had. "It's got bits in it." And he spent the rest of the morning separating the bits from the marmalade. Oh, if you prefer the marmalade from the bits. Fussy old Fusspot, people used to call him. After he'd finished his breakfast here, he went out into his garden and spent the rest of the day straightening out all the blades of grass on his lawn and being very careful of them, so he doesn't want to get a cut, as in a grass is sharp edge and can wait for its prey it hasn't had, or if you prefer, scrat, it rhymes with it. Fusspot. That evening, Mr. Fussy was in his kitchen, ironing his shoelaces, when he had a crash outside. "Oh, what's to do?" he murmured to himself, and hurried outside to investigate the crash. There, with a broken garden gate in one hand and an old battered suitcase in the other, and a sheepish grin on his face, stood an untidy person. Mr. Clumsy. "Whoops," he said, holding up the garden gate. "It came off in my hand." "Ooh," spluttered Mr. Fussy, looking in horror at his garden gate. "Are you?" Mr. Clumsy," replied the untidy person, grinning. And he stepped forward to shake Mr. Fussy's hand. It tripped over and fell onto the lawn. "A grass!" cried Mr. Fussy. "A straight grass! You've bent it!" And he got down on his hands and knees and started straightening the grass. "But who are you?" he asked over his shoulder. "And where you are?" "I'm your cousin, Blue," replied Mr. Clumsy. "Your long-lost cousin from Australia. I've come to visit." If you two people, all of you British, Americans and Aussies, and you African people, are all looking very hard, there is a certain family likeness between them, isn't there? "Well, aren't you pleased to see me?" continued Mr. Clumsy cheerfully, knocking over flowers as he got up, picked up his suitcase. knocking over another flower or two or three. Mr. Fussy quite obviously wasn't pleased to see him. "Oh, you'd better come in," he muttered. "S.I.," marked Mr. Clumsy, looking through the front door of Mr. Fussy's house. "S.I., what a neat little place you've got, sir." And he stepped inside and tripped over shoelaces, he often does, knocked over a chair, dropped his suitcase, and fell in an untidy heap on the floor. "Whoops," he said. Mr. Fussy shut his eyes, heaved a sigh, and groaned ever silently to himself. Later that evening, after Mr. Fussy had cooked them a meal, and after Mr. Clumsy had helped the washing up 2 broken plates, they sat down to talk. Mr. Fussy said, as he always did, in a neat and tidy fashion. Mr. Clumsy said, as he always did, in a not so neat and tidy fashion. "How long are you staying?" asked Mr. Fussy. "Oh, I don't know," said Mr. Clumsy. "Few days, week, yeah. They haven't decided." Mr. Fussy ran another very long silent cry to himself, and they went to bed. When he woke next morning, Mr. Fussy jumped out of bed and went into his bathroom to a shocking sight. Oh no," he gasped. "Oh no." Oh yes, to tell you the truth, Mr. Fussy Clumsy had been there before him. The towels lay in a heap on the floor. The bath was full of water. There were pools of water all over the bathroom floor, and half a tube of toothpaste spouted all over the mirror. What a mess it was, to tell you the truth. Mr. Clumsy just did. Mr. Fussy made it all neat and tidy as quickly as he could. Then Mr. Fussy hurried downstairs. "Morning," said his cousin cheerfully. "I've cooked your breakfast. Sit down." There was an awful mess everywhere. "There we are," said Mr. Clumsy, carrying a plate of fried eggs, broken fried eggs towards the table. "Breakfast." And then he tripped over shoelaces of his again, and then the eggs flew through the air, and then they landed all over Mr. Fussy. Sticky, greasy, yellow fried eggs. "Oops," said Mr. Clumsy. Now Mr. Fussy lit his and looking over clean. And this time he doesn't want his head to be rough. He wants to have it smooth. Afterward, Mr. Fussy's house didn't look like Mr. Fussy's house anymore. It looked more like a house which looked very messy. One very messy pigsty which hasn't been ever cleaned for a long time, for 2 days. Don't you agree? But after 2 weeks, Mr. Clumsy decided to move on. "Oh, thanks for having me, Spot," he said to Mr. Fussy. "It was very nice to see you," replied Mr. Fussy politely. What he was thinking was not so very polite. "It's very nice to see you going." That's what he was thinking. "Oh, Charlie," said Mr. Clumsy, and off he went. with his battered old suitcase. Goodbye from Mr. Fussy.